So the number 2 and number 3 duties of the government are listed as: a government must create and enforce a uniform order, and a government must guarantee the maximum amount of freedom for each citizen within the requirements of that order. That sounds like a pretty good sized task. To deal with those two duties or tasks, our government is to deal with a huge balancing act. On one side you have freedom. On the other side you have order. Add too much weight on one side and you unbalance the other. In this country today, we have too much weight on both sides. The scale will soon break in the middle. It is just too much for anyone or even any group at this time to understand the complexities. That being so, we can't even discuss government as it now stands in a manner which would have any meaning. So we choose rather to leave the present government as it is until it is time to make the changes. We have to start at the beginning of a new, smaller, and more effective government that does the job we will set forth for it to do. As we build this new government, you can compare what we have now to the new model and choose for yourself. Now, you remember they said, always watch out for the now, because what you perceive by television and advertising is not what is. So basically they're saying when we build a new government, you can compare what is now with the new model and choose for yourself. When that job is completed, we will discuss how to get peacefully and safely from the beast of a government that we have now to the new form. Again, we must remind you that you must see not only the change in government, but the rest of the changes before you see how it all can work. In other words, I keep telling you constantly, don't judge until you've read the end of Book 4. Good idea. Having gone to the end of Book 4, I know exactly what they're saying. There are so many things that are just, they're all tied together. They're all tied together. I mean, one works so much better when you have the other one going. And that's what they're constantly saying. So then they go to new government. You know that there are many forms of government. You have city, county, state, school, federal, all these different, categories, if you will, of government, but they're your government. They're not all together, but they're your government. So if we show you how to change the federal government, you can surely understand how to get the rest of the groups that were listed into line. In other words, what they're saying is, if we show you how to get the federal government to work, then you can easily get the school governments to work, the county governments, the state, city, any government. Obviously, the federal government is so big that if we can get that one to work, then we will easily get the rest of them. We'll understand how to do it. So they say, thus we will focus on the federal government and its task of keeping uniform order while maintaining maximum freedom. What does that mean? First, we have to understand that we are here to make choices, as has been presented in Book 1, 2, and 3. That is the freedom we must have, the freedom to make our choices. To prevent those choices is what we now have. Isn't that interesting? They just throw that in, and it's like one of those things. To prevent freedom of choices, which we have to have in order, that's why we're here. We have to have the freedom to make our choices, and as things are designed right now, the object or system is to prevent those choices from being made. We must conform in school, in work, in society, and even in our religions where choices are not promoted at all and should be there most of all. What do they say? We have to conform in school. Nobody's going to argue that. In work, nobody's going to argue that. In society, nobody will argue that. And even in our religions, and look at the tremendous differences in religions. But what they're saying is, even in our religions where choices should not only be promoted, but they should stand out. They should be in the front. The first thing you're told is don't ask questions, take everything on faith here in the United States anyway. Don't ask questions, don't ask God why he's doing what he's doing, on and on and on. What's going on? They're saying you don't make choices, don't ask questions, just do what we tell you to do. If we're here to make choices, how can you just do what somebody tells you to do? So they say, why do we not have choices? Because it, and Book 1, 2, and 3 tell you who it is, doesn't want choices that might allow its slaves to get out of this place. And that's something for Book 5. Because of the massive advertising campaign we have discussed, we have almost lost our way. The overchargers are determined to restrict our choices to working for them for next to nothing and then going home and watching their TV. The massive advertising we have now done by those overchargers without our even knowing it's advertising is constantly telling us what we want and know for sure it's always ends up to be profit for them, money in their pocket. What do you want? You want to put money in my pocket. That's what they're advertising to you, and advertising works. In order to better facilitate our ability to make choices, we need to change our understanding of what our needs actually are. It is not more money, not more food, not more people, not more supposed education, or anything else we normally think of. It actually should be less government, less restrictions to keep us from making choices, and that type of thing. So what we think we need doesn't match up to what we really need, and that's what they're telling us. They say we need places to live the way we want and to be around people who want to do the same thing. We need to be allowed, not restricted, but understand, allowed by all those around us that will be affected by our actions. That means like people living together, not taking advantage of each other, not getting in each other's way, not causing problems, but to do the things with other people that want to do the things that you're doing. Be around people that are doing the same thing you're doing. On top of that, we must state that the execution of change, as we have suggested, never need go beyond that which can be accomplished inside the law. Here they are again. Stay inside the law. Never break the law. Don't break the law. You don't need to. If you're being told to break the law, you're being told something that's not true. If you're being told that you have to break the law, then that person doing the telling is part of its dominion, its people, its group, working for it. Negative, bad. Any activity outside the law must come from dominion, not from that which we have suggested. The laws can be changed, powers can be tumbled inside the law, with the understanding of the problem area and how to correct them, and knowing how to remove the roadblocks to these changes, we can go to real-life problem areas and apply what we have learned. So now go back to the quest that our government create and enforce uniform order and still guarantee maximum amount of freedom for each citizen within the requirements of that order. How can the government give us freedom and still make our lives safe? So far they haven't done either. Do-gooders, please don't tell us the gunslingers are gone from the streets. They aren't. Don't tell us that it is safe to walk down any city street. It isn't. Don't tell us our houses are safe. They aren't. Don't tell us our schools are safe. I guess you really know for sure now. They aren't. Schools are not safe. Don't tell us that. Don't tell us anything that is perception sold by our entertainment news media. We ask for reality, and in reality we are neither safe nor free. What do they say? Don't pay attention to what our entertainment news media. You gotta love that. Don't pay any attention to what our 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock news is telling us. They want you to deal with reality. In reality, you're neither safe nor free. So they didn't accomplish either goal. So how do we get to this desired goal? let's start with the error and concept that got us where we are now. Where is the most freedom? Right now. Now it is more in the public and less in the home. It is moving farther and farther in that direction. Turn it around. Make freedom at its maximum in the home and minimum in public. Why? Let us give you the concepts for 3 areas of society, and you will well understand what has gone wrong and why. And so they're going to go into 3 areas of society. They're going to tell you about 3 areas that society should have. And by the time we get through with that, you'll understand what it is they're saying.